Here are 5 reasons why diets work until they don't. I'm a certified nutrition coach and I have gotten myself and my clients off the diet roller coaster. So stick around to the end where I'll tell you what you need to be doing instead. Let's dive into the first reason why diets work, which is that they create a severe calorie deficit, meaning that you're eating less calories than you expend through movement and the natural body processes that keep you alive. Whether it's a high protein diet, high fat diet, low carb diet, low fat diet, low all things in life that are enjoyable diet, they are all designed to be low calorie, even if they claim not to count calories. If you take a look at their meal plans, they usually sit around 1,200 calories, which is about the amount of food that a toddler and not a full-grown human needs to eat every single day. Although it might work at first, this dramatic calorie deficit backfires because it forces you to rely on willpower to fight against your biology that wants to maintain your weight. Willpower is not the most sustainable resource, and when it runs out because work was crazy and your car's making a funny sound and a million people want a million different things from you, you're going to revert back to your normal eating habits that likely led to your weight gain in the first place. And assuming that you do manage to stick with it and the diet works, you're losing weight, you're feeling good, you're going to reach a point when it stops working because your metabolism slows down for 2 reasons. Number 1, because you now weigh less and therefore use less calories when you move and do your everyday activities. And number 2, because your body thinks that it's starving, it starts slowing down all of its functions and expends even less energy. If anyone has ever told you that losing weight is a simple matter of eating less and exercising more, I'm here to tell you that they're wrong and that you should never feel ashamed of not being able to stick to a diet. Now, the next reason why diets work until they don't is that in order to limit calories, they limit your overall food choices. And if we're talking about eliminating foods that are heavily processed, high in solid fats and added sugars and calories that have been connected with obesity and other chronic diseases, that seems like a really good idea at first. But when you limit the different kinds of foods that you eat, you also start to limit the variety of nutrients that you get, which can lead to deficiencies. Every food item has a unique profile of proteins, carbohydrates, fat, vitamins, minerals, phytochemicals, antioxidants. And while, yes, some foods are more nutrient dense and more health promoting, no 1, 2, or 10 foods are going to magically cure all of your health and weight problems. For example, whole grains tend to be high in B vitamins and minerals like iron, zinc, and magnesium, whereas fruits tend to be high in vitamins A and C and minerals like potassium and folate. As soon as you start cutting out certain foods and food groups, you limit your opportunities to obtain the full spectrum of nutrients that your body needs. Glorifying or demonizing any of these nutrients doesn't do anyone any favors. Which leads me to the next reason why diets work until they don't, which is that they tell you exactly what to eat, whether that's in the form of meal plans, lists of good and bad foods, or macronutrient ratios. They instill in us habits like calorie counting and eating specific number of meals at specific times of the day and eliminating whole categories of foods. They take away the need to know what to eat, when to eat, and how to eat it. And this seems helpful for people who have little experience with nutrition and few cooking skills. Where this goes wrong is that it disconnects you from how your body feels when you eat, why you choose to eat, and even what food actually tastes like. This mindlessness around food leads to blindly following nutrition advice from questionable sources, disregarding the wonderful, nourishing properties that food can have, using food as a punishment, a tool, or a reward, inhaling your food without tasting it, feeling grouchy when you don't eat when you're hungry, overeating because you didn't eat enough before, and eating for emotional reasons. If this last one sounds just like you, if you regularly struggle with overeating because of stress, anxiety, or other emotional reasons, and you need support to help break the cycle, then you'll want to click the link in my description box to access my 3 steps to break up with stress eating guide. This free workbook will help you to identify your triggers and break the cycle of emotional eating without making you feel like a failure for struggling with it. If that's something that you need right now, then make sure you download it from the link in the description box below. Now let's move on to the next reason why diets work until they don't, which is that diets tend to put foods into lists of good and bad. This eliminates indecision about what to eat. Is it on the okay list? Go ahead and eat it. Not on the list? Avoid it like the plague. This trains your brain to think of some foods as always okay, regardless of when or how much, and other foods as always off limits. And at first, this might seem like a good strategy for eating more healthy foods and eating less unhealthy ones, but this causes problems in so many ways, but I'll limit myself to 3. Number 1 is thinking of a food as 100% good for you all the time creates what's called a health halo around that food. Labels like low fat, low carb, low calorie, diet, light, and even gluten-free do not necessarily equal healthy. And even if those foods do have some healthy qualities, you're likely to underestimate the number of calories that you're consuming, disregard portion sizes, and even make more unhealthy choices later because you feel good about the supposedly healthy choices that you already made. And number 2, as anyone who has ever been a teenager knows, as soon as you tell someone not to do something, it's a surefire way to make them want to do it more. Telling yourself that certain foods are always off limits creates a scarcity mindset, which means that as soon as you eat one thing that's off your diet, you want to consume all of the things that are off your diet right now because you won't be able to have them later. Giving yourself permission to eat can actually lower your desire to overeat. When it's no longer forbidden, when it's no longer a scarce resource, the desire to eat all of the cookies now because you can never have them again decreases. And number 3, seeing foods as good or bad tends to lead you to thinking that you are a good or a bad person based on what you eat. Sticking to your diet, eating the right things, weighing what you think you should equals good. Anything outside of that means you're a bad person. I need you to know that there is no inherent moral value attached to the way that you eat. I choose to eat a predominantly plant-based diet, both for health and for ethical reasons, but the way that I eat does not make me any better or lesser of a person. There are as many reasons why people choose to eat what they do as there are people. And while as a certified nutrition coach, it's my job to help people improve their nutrition habits, it's not my job, your job, or anyone else's job to judge you or shame you for what you eat. This good or bad mentality leads me to the next reason why diets work until they don't, which is the all or nothing mindset. Either you're on the diet or you're off it. Sticking to a diet can feel rewarding. There's a rush of excitement when you prove to yourself that you can do something even though it's hard. You start to lose weight. Sometimes you feel more energetic and optimistic. But this can also lead to a mental and emotional crash and burn when something happens to knock you off course, or you hit a plateau, or you exhaust your source of willpower. I was on a diet once and I ate one piece of bread that was not on my designated meal plan. And I completely spiraled into thinking that I was a terrible person, I had no self-discipline, and I was never ever going to be able to control my eating habits. So where this all or nothing mindset fails us is that number 1, diets require you to change too much all at once. You go from whatever state your current eating habits are in to suddenly eating a very specific, very limited plan. While you might be able to sustain this for a while, it's like trying to lift a weight that's too heavy. You might be able to lift it a few times, but your muscles aren't strong enough to keep lifting it again and again. Which leads me to number 2, which is that diets rarely teach you to develop consistent healthy habits. They demand that you suddenly start eating this supposedly super healthy diet without taking the time to develop skills, like creating balanced meal plans on your own, including more vegetables in your recipes, or managing your stress, which is crucial because number 3, even if you do lose weight, without those healthy habits in place to support you, it makes the next battle of maintaining that weight loss nearly impossible. Once you're off the plan, you tend to revert back to your previous eating habits that led to the weight gain in the first place. At first glance, it might seem like dieting helps you out by taking away your need to make decisions. But what it really does is disempowers you from being able to take charge of your own health. Now, at this point in the video, you might be wondering what you can do to take back your power and start making real positive change in your eating habits. And the answer that you've been waiting for since the beginning is mindful eating. So make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell because next week I'll be talking all about mindful eating and how to start using it to your benefit. Thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next one.